Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry oaf! I don't care what you smell.
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast, where we are the mothership of casual X-Wing gameplay. I am your host and captain, Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick on the forums. Hey Chadwick, who's that next to you? It's Phil. Hey Phil Mead, my co-pilot. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm channeling Nien Num, the best co-pilot ever, right now.
Good. Excellent. Jake the Brake, our chief engineer. How's it going, Jake?
Well, it's going pretty well. I did get a little sick because, as you know, last week I was in the engines for quite some time, and I just want everyone to know that there's going to be a memorial service for Waka Wiki, our Ewok, and that'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Endor Standard Time. I can't tell you how I got this sick this fast, but it was through getting all those Ewok parts out of the engine. It took forever, and I got to tell you, he was lodged in there in such a way, it was very unnatural. I do not believe he was there by accident. I don't have any proof. I don't have any evidence, but I have a very sinking suspicion that somebody or something put him there.
Huh. Well, it wasn't me as I'm flying, and I know Gonk Droid was recharging everybody's cell phones and laptops at the time.
That's true.
Which makes me think of J-Bot, our protocol droid. J-Bot.
That's quite a lot of veiled innuendo you guys are throwing around over there. I'm not sure I like the look on y'all's faces. Perhaps I should contact my lawyer?
I'm not sure if it's that veiled.
You have a lawyer?
You mean you guys don't have a lawyer?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I guess we haven't needed one so far.
If you have those kinds of claims being made against you a lot, then it pays to have one on retainer.
He tends to be more of an offensive lawyer, if that makes sense. I see something that offends me, he goes after it. That sort of thing.
Like, were those lawyer prints on the corpse? Anyways. All right, everybody. Well, I do want to start this off with a captain's question. And this one comes from Cuban Boy, who is a local here in Charlotte. And every Friday always puts off the Happy Friday thread on the FFG forums, which is something I always look forward to saying hi. But he asks, with the latest release of the Rogue One final trailer number 2, his question for everyone is, do you think Rogue One is going to simply be a great Star Wars movie, or the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, having been supposedly done by movie people who grew up on Star Wars and loving Star Wars, and this is the Star Wars movie they are making, and with no change or hindrances to plots and such, other than it involving a Death Star. So, Phil, let me go to you.
I think that it may well be a very, very good Star Wars movie. Greatest, maybe not, but I think that it has a lot of things going for it. I think that it has. I mean, obviously, there's no expense spared in terms of budget, so they're going to have all the great effects, and I think the acting, the actors that they've lined up for this one are also quite good. I think that another thing that it has going for it is they probably had a pretty good amount of latitude in terms of script writing, and they didn't need to cleave to the standard Star Wars storyline. They didn't need to they don't need to have Jedi. They don't need to have the Skywalkers. They don't need to advance the overall trilogy plot line. Also, they don't need to reintroduce Star Wars like it obviously felt like they needed to with Episode 7. I feel like they had it seems like they had more of a free hand, and I think that's always a good thing for the producers of a movie to have. They didn't. I don't think they really had marching orders for this. I think they had a interesting core concept, which is make a movie about the guys who stole the Death Star plans, and they said, run with it. That's the impression that I get. Well, yeah, and they certainly didn't. Yeah, but they didn't have Lucas for Episode 7 either.
True. But they had the restriction of trying to reboot the franchise, basically recreate Episode 4 as close as possible. But
yeah, I mean that's one way to look at it.
That's true. Also, I'm not sure Lucas made that call. In fact, I thought he was more disappointed with that than anything. Did you guys hear that?
I actually didn't, and actually almost don't care.
Yeah.
After episodes 1, 2, and 3, it's like whatever, never mind.
Right.
Yeah.
So Phil, you're saying?
I think that it looks like a solid, like a war/heist movie set in the Star Wars universe, and I think that's cool. One thing that's going to be nice about this is that these characters are essentially, they're all like, B-list characters in the Star Wars universe, right? Like, everybody in this movie, in terms of Rebels, could die in this movie. Whereas in a mainline Star Wars movie, like Episode 7, yeah, spoilers, I guess, Han Solo dies, but that could be expected. I was expecting Han Solo to die, frankly, but they're not going to kill off Han Solo, Chewie, Leia, Finn, Rey, and Luke in the same movie, right? They're not going to they're not going to have like a total party kill.
TPK.
Yeah. But that is a distinct possibility for this movie. I mean, we could lose all these characters. I don't think we'll lose them all.
It makes me think of the old animated movie Heavy Metal. You die, she dies, everybody dies. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but yeah.
I know of it. But yeah, what I'm saying here is that these characters, will probably, they're going to get us attached to them, but they are not attached to them as a company, right? All these guys are killable, except for like Darth Vader's and and like Mon Mothma's not gonna die. But your main rebel characters, I would be shocked if none of these rebels died. None of the main character rebels died. I'd be shocked if they all
I'm
made it.
guessing the odds are about 50-50 for anyone on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's got to make it to deliver the plans, but they can still even at least jump onto the ship and go, here's the plan, and kill over. They could all die. Yeah. So Jake, what do you think? Is it the greatest movie ever, or just great movie?
I'm a sucker for these kinds of things, and I see a cool trailer, like the first teaser that came out, and then I see the second trailer, the final one. I'm honestly head over heels, and I do this to myself over and over again, and I always get disappointed. But I am actually very excited about this. I think this is like a more adult take on Star Wars, which I'm really excited about. It looks like a grittier universe, a darker universe. Like Phil said, it seems like there's actual stakes in this film, which is fantastic.
Bantha stakes, or
yeah, obviously Bantha stakes.
Maybe
with some nice Tuscan sauce.
Awesome.
But
Excellent.
I think this movie, for me, I'm more excited about this than I am for episode 8, I think. And I mean, it kind of goes back to, I really did get my hopes all the way through the roof for episode 7. And, after that point, I did get let down a little bit. It, like Phil said, it was like a reboot for the Star Wars movies. It was I feel, targeted to those who didn't really know what Star Wars was and wanted to get into it. But for those of us who love Star Wars already and we're looking for like the next chapter, this was maybe a little bit of a slight. So anyway,
I think episode 7 was almost like it had to recreate episode 4 as much as possible to recapture the flavor, and almost became slave to almost mirroring episode 4 so much.
Yeah,
and the main goal was to not suck. If it didn't suck, it was a success. And it was a success
I think
because
you're right.
it didn't suck.
Yeah, you're right. And in that respect, you're right. It was a success. I think just for us, maybe more hardcore people who know that, I don't know, the home planet of Wookiees are Kashyyyk, and, Boba Fett's armor is Mandalorian. Like these details and these things that we love about Star Wars. Maybe for us, we were looking for something more. And I think that's what we're going to find in Rogue One.
So do you think greatest Star Wars movie ever, or just great movie?
I'm going to just I'm going to double down on greatest movie ever.
I like it. Okay, J-Bot.
Yes. Well, I, by way of some things I found on the internet, because I actually did some research for this question, believe it or not. I don't do research for the show, but I did some research for this one. I'm going to read for you guys some quotes I found on the internet. Let's see what you guys think. In response to the trailer, one person said, "Unbelievable. I consider myself a harsh critic, but after the trailer, I was applauding." Someone else, "It's going to be incredible." That's a good one. I mean, it's pretty straight and to the point. How about this? Trailer felt like 5 seconds. Let me see if I can get past all of the credentials of this person. "I hate myself for every doubt I had. What on earth was I ever thinking? Analyzing every nugget, every whisper, worrying about reshoots and deadlines." Let's see. There's got another one here that's really, really good. Almost heartbreaking in a way when you think about it. Take me a second here. I got a lot of stuff written down for this. "All around me, there were actual tears of joy. There was excited hollering. There were hugs, people laughing uncontrollably. As the haze passed and I realized there was a movie playing, one thing kept going through my head. Thank you, George. Thank you, George." Anybody want to have a guess, a stab at what these reviews were for?
Episode 1 or episode 3?
Episode 7.
Episode 1. This is starting to sound very familiar, isn't it? Not that I'm saying the trailers don't look amazing, but calm. This is J-Bot talking here. Calm. Just step away from it a little bit and let yourselves...
Away from the dead Ewok.
Right. Step away and let yourselves enjoy. I know I posted on our Facebook page when somebody else put up the second trailer. I'm not watching it. I'm going to go see the movie. I don't need to see anything else, because all you do is you start to build this expectation, and then if it's a really big mountain to climb for them to live up to it. So I know I'm going to go see this. I don't need to be convinced anymore. I'm already in the church. I'm already standing in the choir. I don't need to be convinced anymore. So I don't want to see any more of it. So I didn't actually bother to watch the second trailer. I watched the first one, said, "Yep, I'm on board. Let's do this. It looks really good." And I'm hopeful. But I've learned over the years not to expect the world. So hopefully it will be a great movie, and will be a good Star Wars movie. But I'm not going to sit here and say a month out or a month and a half out, however far it is, that it's going to be the greatest one ever, because we've been through this movie before, people. We've been through this before, and Star Wars fans are nothing if not easy to excite.
Yes, I said it before, which is that I get hurt a lot putting all my faith in these trailers, but here I am doing it again. I can feel myself doing it, J-Bot.
Calm. That's all I'm asking people.
All right,
Calm.
I'm going to calm. Deep breaths.
That's
Well,
right.
I will say the first time I saw the trailer, and it lessened each time afterwards, but the first time I saw it, I felt like there was such emotional content to it that it was more. It hit you, in the gut about what was going on than anything in episodes 1 through 3, and it just seemed, I don't know, impressive. It seemed really good. But I have to say, to answer the overall question, that I don't think it's going to be the greatest Star Wars movie ever, because episode 4, episode 4, I was, 6, 7 years old when it came out, seeing Star Wars at that age, at that point in time. I mean, people say that, like, martial arts and yoga took off in the United States because of the, talking about the Force in Star Wars. The cultural effect of Star Wars on American society, at that time in the late 70s was huge. So, to me, episode 4, A New Hope, is going to be so great that no movie will, I doubt, will ever be able to live up to its impact on society and its greatness, to me. But I think it's probably going to be, up there with one of the best Star Wars movies of all time. It's right below episode 4, maybe right below Empire Strikes Back, but a really, really good one. Yeah. So there. All right. That's our captain's question.
I have one more thing. The script balances the humor with honest, direct writing that gives Jar Jar, dare I say, a soul. He may be a sidekick, but here's betting that Jar Jar Binks becomes one of the biggest episode 1 stars once audiences get their real introduction.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Fairly well named critic there. Just let's
Annie, look at me, I'm all sparkly. Did you ever see that robot chicken?
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. So, just saying. That's all.
Yeah.
I should have.
What?
What'd you say?
I said
I think I accidentally just shut you off for a second.
Oh, sorry about that. I sometimes go into my head and not sure if I'm talking to you people or myself. I should have put some narrator spin on that just to make it sound more, intimidating and profound. But
yeah, your special.
So just that's all I ask for. Just please, because I don't want to be here 3 months from now. People, string him up. That's the worst thing we've ever seen. So
yeah,
because then everybody go back. Wait a minute, J-Bot was right. J-Bot was right. The end is nigh.
Well, if anyone wants to get some sort of fix now, there's actually a little YouTube miniseries called Go Rogue, where they're encouraging you to make your own Rogue One movies based on the toys. And they kind of did one based on all the various toys out there, called Go Rogue. It's a 4-part little YouTube series. And it's actually pretty funny. So I encourage that. Excellent. Now, I did actually want to go into a fan email someone sent me as a PM, private message on the FFG message boards. And it's from a guy named John. And he said, titled very much, "Thank you very much, man." And his message says, "J-Bot, you want to go into protocol mode?"
Sure.
"I just wanted to let you know that you guys at Shuttle Tydirium have not only brought me back to X-Wing, but made a huge difference in my life. Long story short, I have some medical issues that makes playing with me trying for the min-max tourney crowd, and had quit playing because of some harsh attitudes about my disability. I was going to give up on the game, but finally listened to your podcast, and things have turned around 180. You guys have given me the confidence to get back to the public table and start a casual community in my area, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you would, please give my warmest regards and thank you to your crew as well. Thank you again, John."
That's an awesome letter.
I gotta love good stuff like that. Yeah.
It's kind of shocking that we could make an actual difference in someone's life Period.
Yeah, if I
me.
go, I'm an opinionated, open mouth guy, and I will go yabbering on about freaking anything, and me going on about little plastic toys making any bit of a difference in someone's life is really cool, and it's really good to hear because my wife thinks I'm a big idiot.
You know, it's just too bad that that Waka Wiki and R3 Astromech never heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They died not knowing that
as
they made
members
a
of the
difference.
crew, they would have been very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I am going to pour out a little airplane bottle for my dead homies.
Oh, that's horrible. Such a waste. I mean, that was probably very expensive alcohol too.
Yeah, it was just.
Oh, I mean, yeah, or what's his name, and what was the other one?
Waka Wiki.
Yeah, Waka Wiki.
Right, that one. Yeah.
He was the one who was always smiling.
Jake got to know him very well.
I got to know every inch of every hair of Waka Wiki.
I don't want to know what you do in your private time, Jake. That's between you and the engines, apparently.
Well, there was actually another thread on the FFG forums this week about someone who had been frustrated with the tournament crowd and the 100/6, which is 100.6 asteroids or obstacles, that type of game, and how he got fed up with it, and how he quit X-Wing for 10 months, and he's hasn't looked back, and he was posted this to say, just kind of was waving goodbye on the way out, and he got a lot of flack from people on the forums because, well, you do kind of come into a little gaming community and take some shots and say, I'm done with you. You guys suck. I'm gone. But I took it as a cry for help, and I posted. I PM'd him, and I was like, hey, look, there's a whole other way to play. There's casual. You don't have to do this, and it kind of went into like many-page discussion with some people about it, and a lot, some of those there really agree that if you want to build a casual community, you really kind of have to work at it, whether you're in a rural area or if you're actually in a major metropolitan area, or even one guy was saying he's from Finland and they only play at the local store. They don't play at people's houses. Everyone's very private in Finland, and you don't go to people's houses to play games. You go to the game store. And the game store only cares about tournament mode. And when tournament season's done, they switch it to a new game. Like they go to Netrunner or something. And basically, you don't have a non-tournament time to actually game with people. So he was having a frustrated time. But my point overall was that you got to put some work into actually building the casual community. And we did a whole episode on it with some advice. But you can't just kind of go, gosh, I wish it would happen. I wish I lived near these Shuttle Tydirium guys. Oh, well, I'm going to give up. So, yeah, I think...
Yeah, you have to put in the work for those that making a casual community, though. It's not easy. And it's pretty cool that John did it, yeah. It's not, it's nothing to... it's not a small feat.
My Imperial officer's hat off to you, John.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he was able to find some people who weren't going to give him a hard time. I mean, it's about having fun. At least that's what it should be about. And that's what we're here for, is to enforce the fun.
The floggings will continue until morale improves.
Exactly.
All right. So in other emails, there was an email exchange I had with Frank Brooks, who is the Associate Creative Content Developer for Fantasy Flight Games. And in this email exchange, I actually realized I had some rules wrong. In Epic Play, you have your energy, and you use various sub-phases and etc. And I don't know the flow chart and all, but if you can keep energy on the main ship card, or you can dish it out to some of the subsystems like secondary weapons, and it tells you how much energy that ship can hold, and it tells you how much energy it takes to actually fire that weapon. I was under the impression that if you had energy on the main ship card, you could still fire the secondary weapon by pulling energy from the main ship card. But I have been corrected. You actually have to put the energy tokens on the actual secondary weapon card during the phase where you dish out the energy. And if you don't, you can't fire that weapon.
Yeah, it's a little complicated the way the energy management works. It's not super user friendly. The way you gain energy and then have to allocate it, and then you do your energy actions just in the normal like activation of a huge ship. I always found that a little awkward.
Yeah. So, J-Bot, how did you do it?
I did it, well, sacrilege, but I used the Star Trek method, which was, pulling power from one sector and moving it to another sector before I used it. So, in other words, pulling power from my shields to power my phasers on one end or the other. So I always, like, as soon as I got energy, the first thing I did was basically dumped it into the subsystems. I guess in a sense I was doing it right without really realizing it. So I could have been doing it wrong by the same measure, I guess. But it just felt like the idea for me was, hey, I need to put this in my guns before I can fire them, sort of thing.
This man's genius.
Yeah, no, it's a standard technical engineering side stuff. I could understand if you pilots wouldn't completely understand where all the energy you shoot at
help me
stuff
in the
comes
engine
from.
room once in a while. That would be great. Cleaning Ewok hair out the engines and all that. That would be awesome.
That's right. Trust me, I know how to fire a blaster, people. I mean, I know you guys up front just pull the trigger and assume pew pew pew. No, there's a lot of work goes on behind that, behind the scenes there to make that happen.
I do have to check the various sub rules from Flowchart, because I did have someone who, when I posted about the game review for the second mission for the Sierra 90 campaign, they stated that you can't burn the Tibana gas and then fire the weapons in that same turn. So I got to double check on the rules as to when, if you burn that gas, does that come before, after, allocation of energy and all that.
I think that you can burn that gas anytime you want, really, because the card reads something like, I actually have it here. So the card
it's just
reads
energy in bold.
Yeah, you may discard this card to gain 3 energy, limited, for Tibana gas. So there's no timing restriction on when you have to discard that card. You could discard it whenever. You have to now to put the energy that you gain on your weapons. You need to have it before you do the allocate energy step. So, like, normally when you move a huge ship, this is what I'm talking about earlier about just being complicated. When you activate a huge ship, you reveal your dial. That's when you gain your energy. Maybe you move. You reveal your dial, you do your movement, then you do your energy phase. So the first thing in your energy phase, you look at the dial that you revealed. You gain the energy tokens that are on that maneuver. So those go right on the base of your ship. That's your ship's general pool of energy.
Your reserve.
Right. So then from that pool of energy, you allocate energy to different cards that can have energy tokens on them. So as long as you crack the Tibana gas before you allocate energy, you can put the gas on anything you want. The gas energy. So you can do it in this mission. When you have the so in mission 2A we talked about last week, the Corvette has this BS rule where you can't get energy pretty much if you undock from the cargo container, which is the obvious thing that you almost have to do to even have a shot at winning the mission, I feel like. So the rule is that you get these tracking tokens on your aft section of the Corvette. For each tracking token, you gain 1 fewer energy during your activation phase, your gain energy step. But I don't think that would apply to energy gained from getting your Tibana gas. So I think you can always get that energy.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds okay. All right. So at this point, do we want to go into our B teams?
Yeah, let's do it.
Watch it, you've got one on your tail. Yes, I can hold it. Hold on! No, I'm all right.
All right. Now, I know a while ago, co-pilot Phil Mead did do a call out on the Facebook page, the group Facebook page, for some B teams. I know I've been busy with Iron Hurricanes and all sorts of new waves and stuff. I haven't had much of a chance to actually try all the stuff that I want to. But we did get a list, a few lists. But the first one here is going to be from Trevor Betts. So Trevor is from Wildemar, California, and I think it's Betts, B-E-T-T-S, not Beats, but Betts. And J-Bot, do you want to go over what his list is?
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to dig it up. I was scrolling through some of my other research topics at the moment. But I do recall it had a hawk. Was it Palob? Palob.
Yeah.
Palob. With which is the hawk. That's the one. Palob, however. That's the one where you can take a focus or evade token away from an opponent. I believe that's range 1 to 2, or is it just range 1? Been a little while since I've flown Palob.
1 to 2. 1
to 2, excellent. Now the ship I see is loaded with Opportunist. Oh geez, I just lost it. Where did it go? Read it out to me. I'm trying to find it. It's so far back I can't find the actual thing.
Opportunist is the EPT, Elite Pilot Talent. Blaster Turret, which is the turret that's 3 red dice, range 1 to 2, requires a focus token to shoot. The Moldy Crow to give you the focus tokens. The Crew Zuckus, which basically, when attacking, may receive any number of stress tokens to choose an equal number of defense dice. The defender must reroll those dice. And that's it for the Hawk 290.
Yep. All right. I got it here. Here we go. Then it looks like it has 2 of the Protectorate Starfighter ships.
The Fang Fighters. That's what people call it.
Fang Fighters. One is Finral, and the other is Old Tayrock. And both seem to be identically equipped with Push the Limit, Concord Dawn Protector, and stealth devices.
Yep.
And Finral is the one where you get an additional die, defense, or attack if you're within range 1 and both of your firing arcs are on each other. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you have to be in his firing arc. He has to be in yours. You have to be in range 1, and then you get essentially an additional die
It's
to
actually
attack or defense against that ship, right?
With Fenrau, you just have to be in range 1, period. No additional.
But attacking or defending, if the enemy ship is at range 1, you may roll 1 additional die.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just range 1. Okay, so I'm mixing that up with one of the Concord
Dawn and Fearless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then Old Tayrock is the one that takes away tokens. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone.
At the start of the combat phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship at range 1. If you are inside its firing arc, it discards all focus and evade tokens. So you got to be up in someone's grill. But if you are,
you have to be in there.
Steal all their stuff.
You have to be
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's an interesting list. I haven't flown either of the Protectorates yet. I do like the look of the ships. And I know we had some kind of cursory discussion about this, the list in general. I like the Starfighter builds just as a kind of outsider looking at them. That looks like a strong build for both of them. You know, getting in close, using Push the Limit, and all of their kind of mobility adjustment that they have to get in close. And that seems to be the trick with the Fang Fighters, if I recall, is that you want to be as close as possible and try and fire first, and try and punch through them before they really get a chance to fire back. I'm a little, I think I'm with you guys on the skepticism a little bit on Palob. To me, it's an interesting build. I don't use blaster turrets a lot, so take that with a grain of salt. And I've looked at Zuckus. I've never used Zuckus. I'm not a gigantic fan of giving myself stress. I don't mind using stress. I don't mind flying with stress. I'm not big on like picking it up for attacking purposes. So it might be incredibly powerful. I just don't personally use, I guess, that tactic very much. What are y'all's thoughts? I have some ideas for what I would do to adjust it. Not that it would necessarily be good, but I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are.
Well, I knew Zuckuss is pretty potent when you've got someone that rolls a lot of green die, like Suntirfell or someone, and you've got you they actually roll like, oh, I just rolled like 3 evade. You can say boop 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 boop. I'll take the stress. You re-roll those dice. Take that. But what about you, Phil? What do you think?
I'd say that I like the payload build, except for Opportunist feels a little. I feel like Opportunist isn't going to give you very good mileage, even though you have it with Paylob, which is ostensibly a good place for Opportunist. Because I don't know if we went through what Opportunist does exactly. Opportunist gives you an extra attack die if the target doesn't have any focus or evade tokens, I think. And you give yourself 1 stress token, and you can't use it if you already have 1 stress token. So it's a good match for Paylob because he steals focus and evade tokens off of people, right?
Yep.
But it's a bad match with Zuckuss because Zuckuss is going to give you a lot of stress normally. So once you have that stress, then Opportunist isn't going to trigger very often. And you're kind of, stuck with a 4-point upgrade that's not going to do you any good. And I think it would just, it's kind of a shame, but like Predator would give you better mileage.
Yeah,
it's a B team. I mean,
It is, and I guess if I were to make an adjustment to it, it would be to drop Opportunist for in favor of Predator. Like basically, I'd leave everything the same, and I would drop Opportunist and put Predator in its place. And this is me. I'd drop the blaster turret and put an ion turret in place. It's the same points that you wash out for the same points. Because at least in my opinion, the ion turret sets up Finrao and Old Terok. Like
that's a good point.
Essentially, drop this guy. I don't have let's say I've got Paylob, right, and you've got a blaster turret. If you're running Zuckuss, you're probably not going to get a lot of focuses of your own, so you're relying on stealing them. And if your opponent knows that, he can shut your blaster turret off by basically never putting a focus token on whatever is around. So you're never using a blaster turret. Whereas an ion turret, you can't stop it. I mean, other than destroying the ship, you can't stop it. So you can take as much stress as you want with Zuckuss. And the one trick with the ion turret is just make it hit. You just need to get that one hit, and playing right, and this is in my head, obviously, you can line it up well with Finrao and Old Terok, knowing exactly where your opponent's going to be on the next turn.
Yeah.
So that's just what I would do, is make that one small little twist to it, and just as a Hawk fan, and see what you could do with it. I think it might be rather devastating, actually, if you can pull off the combo right. And between those two starfighters and what damage I've seen them do on other tables, you could tear through something pretty quick if it can't get out of the way.
I do see it's interesting that this person took stealth device for the modifications on the Fang fighters, because most of the time people go with auto thrusters. So going with stealth device costs 1 point more each, and it's different. So it's just
I thought that,
there.
But if the idea is essentially to fly these things straight down the guns, then the auto thrusters doesn't help that much. I mean, it does, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
stealth device works once.
Right. Yeah. It does work once, but sometimes with these things
it works at least once. It can work more than once. But
and with as many evades as these things, I mean, if you're able to fly these right, I mean, they get a lot of help. A lot of evades and automatic evades and stuff too. It's crazy.
The Fang fighter does not have the evade action.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It gets the Concord Protectorate if it's in range 1 in arc. you get the free evade action, but it actually does not have the evade action itself. So Fenrau will get the bonus, roll another green die. So if he's at range 1 of someone, in arc and all that, he will be rolling, what is it, 5 green dice.
Is it 5?
Because he's got 1 more for stealth device and 1 more for Fenrau.
Oh, right, yeah, with stealth device, yeah.
So he'll be rolling 5 green dice. Then I will say that I've lately taken Fenrau as a verb, because you give him something like fearlessness, and even just tonight there was someone at the table next to me that played against Fenrau. They didn't know, hadn't flown against Fenrau. He gets at range 1, so his special ability gets him 5 red dice. So the +1 for range 1, and then +1 for Fenrau, and they give him fearlessness. So basically 5 red dice, adding a 6th hit to the total. And if you do it right, you've got the tokens and all that. This person got 5 hits with the 6 added in, hits and crits. And to be basically to be Fenrau is to be just blown apart at range 1 by Fenrau. And I've been Fenrau before. With my Arc 170 last week, it was a little rusty, and I thought if I banked, I'd get the Z95 that I'm sure was coming at me. No, I clipped it just a little bit. I clipped it, and then was stuck at range 1 of Fenrau, and I was Fenrau.
It's amazing. How many dice did you say hit?
5 red dice, 5 hits.
Oh my gosh!
And then with another 6 thrown in.
Captain, how long do you think it's going to take for Fenrau to be truncated to just effed?
You never know. We could have already done it just then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and someone was telling me, arguing on the forums, Fickle Green Dice was saying, "Oh, he's not power creep in red dice." I'm like, you're kidding me. I was like, really? He's not power creep in red dice? Even if there is some sort of combo that got you that many before, just having it even more common now is power creep. So, yeah. Anyways, but Fenrau, yeah. So that is the list from Trevor Betts.
Thanks,
Any
Trevor.
other old Tarok as well can just, if you've got a target, boom, strip the targets. That's where Payload with Opportunities might be able to, do his thing.
Yeah, I find it as a very frightening list. The type of thing, if you let it get close to you, you're probably not going to have a lot of tokens to deal with. So it would be interesting to see this list flown by a competent flyer, not me. So I think it could be pretty successful, if not scary.
Even then, your Ion Cannon turret would have a better chance of hitting once Old Tarok, strips tokens.
Oh, I mean, between Paylob and Old Tarok, you've got 2 people stripping tokens if they're in the right places.
Yep. Excellent. All right. That is our B team. We do have a news article that has come out. Suppressive fire. Wait, we need J-Bot to say that. Protocol mode droid.
Do what now? I wasn't paying
Protocol
attention.
droid mode. Go.
Suppressive fire.
Yeah, it's good. And the quote from Ezra Bridger. Yeah, about that, we stole a TIE fighter. So this is a preview for Sabine's TIE Fighter expansion pack for the Rebels. Which, Jake, does this TIE fighter differ than the standard Imperial?
This TIE fighter does not differ from the standard Imperial TIE fighter, at least in its normal stats. So it's got 2 attacks. It's got the 3 evade. It's got the 3 hull. And then it has the actions of evade, barrel roll, and focus. And it can get an elite pilot talent.
And 0 shields, man. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
These Imperials are nuts. They must have mad skills. Anyways. All right. So we did get some sneak previews of a few of the releases for this particular expansion pack.
Mm-hmm.
So, J-Bot, do you have any particular that stand out for you?
As far as pilots go?
Or anything. Any of the new
in
sneak
general?
previews. Anything that stands out.
I really like the EMP device. I guess I have a thing for ion devices in this game. I like being able to mess with people's ships and make them predictable for a turn.
All right.
So
before we get into that too much, I should announce there is which was released before, a unique title, Sabine's Masterpiece, TIE Fighter only, Rebel only title. Your upgrade bar gains the crew and the illicit upgrade icons. And
Madness for a TIE Fighter.
EMP device is an illicit. Do you want to tell us what it does, J-Bot?
Yeah, it says during the combat phase, instead of performing any attacks, you may discard this card to assign 2 ion tokens to each ship at range 1, which basically means every ship short of a capital ship is ionized, which
including
is
yourself.
freaking awesome.
Well, including capital ships.
Yeah. Well, capital ships would get hit, but they wouldn't. They don't stop or go into drift.
No, but they actually
still
take
suffer.
ion tokens.
Yeah,
they'd suffer from it, but.
And it's actually in one of the particular episodes. They actually flew into an Imperial Star Destroyer and then did the EMP blast and kind of disabled the whole Star Destroyer from the inside.
Right.
That seems unrealistic. I mean, come on.
But this is a 2-point device, and it's pretty cool. It also hits you. You are actually within your range 1. So you hit every ship, it gets 2 ion tokens. It's pretty crazy.
Right, yeah, but it's still, I mean, where you're going. And if you can take that turn to basically really screw over someone else's next turn, as we were talking about with the B team, it makes them very predictable for your other ships to kind of feast on for at least one turn. And being able to do that to multiple ships, to me, is an incredible option. So that's why I like it. That's why I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it.
I mean,
I think
don't know.
It'll definitely find use.
Is it better than an ion bomb?
I
think it is because it's not a drop sort of weapon.
Yeah. So
just I know exactly where I'm at. I know if I'm going to hit somebody or not before I make the call to use it. Versus, let me move, drop it, and hope that he doesn't, barrel roll boost to get away from
Unless
it.
you're at a higher pilot skill.
The ion bomb gives someone the chance to actually get away from it. Well, this does not.
Assuming they're at a higher pilot skill than you.
Yes. But even if they move at a different pilot skill, they're going to go. They're still going to be ionized, and they're going to move and then be ionized next turn.
With a bomb, you mean, or
no? With the EMP device,
it
is better than the bomb.
I mean, yes and no, because you also you ionize yourself. It's unique, so you're only getting one of these in your list, ever.
But it is unique, but you can put it on anything that can take an illicit. So let's say you're going to use it not on Rebels, you can put it in a Z95 or a Carax or some low point cost ship that you're just going to stick in somewhere and zap.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what a good place would be to put this. And I think.
Well, this is a stupid question, but you could put it on a large base ship and you get an even bigger radius too. So,
it's true.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't really hurt that large ship to sit there essentially as just a mobile turret for a turn to lay into some, especially if you catch them right.
Might be good on the Lancer.
I actually think
Shadowcaster.
I think it is good on this particular ship, and I think it's because of the captured TIE card, a modification. So, Phil, Chief Engineer, do you want to tell us about that particular modification?
Well, I don't know who Phil, Chief
Oh,
Engineer is.
Jake.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Jake.
It sounds like the pilot's not happy with this back here in engineering.
Apparently, someone just got a demotion and someone got a promotion. All right. So let's go about the captured TIE, which is a really cool card. It's a TIE fighter only, but it's also Rebel only modification, which is obviously crossing all sorts of boundaries. Enemy ships with a pilot skill value lower than yours cannot declare you as a target of an attack. After you perform an attack, or when you're the only remaining friendly ship in play, discard this card. So again, this is all about, it's a capture tie. You fly in, the pilots the enemy that's looking at you doesn't realize that you're not one of them, except for the enemies that have a higher pilot skill than you. So I think that's a pretty neat card. I think that it's 1 point. And it's only 1 point. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's only 1 point. But I do have a question about it. Let's say that you have you're flying against a group of ties. They got lower pilot skill than you. They can't shoot you, but you've got somebody on the team that does, or I'm sorry, somebody on the enemy team that does, so they can shoot at you, right?
Yeah.
You think that if they're shooting at you, they could quickly calm the other people on their team and say, "Hey, shoot this time."
Yeah.
Well, no, people just are like, "What's going on? Why is he attacking him? What is that? There's confusion." I got
always defending FFG. No, I think Jake actually has a good point about this.
Space, there's lots of flashy lights and stuff. I mean,
no. I think
look, you guys aren't.
No, I completely agree.
You don't know how hard it is.
Trying to do what we can.
I came up with I don't know if I definitely called it that this card would be something where it would restrict. It was, I think I called it as being a captured tie card. If we go back into the archives.
Oh yeah, you definitely called this a while ago.
And I said that it would probably be a card that prevented the enemy from shooting at you, until a condition was met.
Certain number of turns or something.
Yeah. And I've toyed with this idea before. I think that what I normally would do, for like scenarios and my own custom cards, I've toyed with this idea. And I think normally what I settled on was the enemy needing to do a special action or spend a target lock on you to discover you as an enemy ship. As opposed to it being tied to pilot skill. And also, Jake has a really good point that high pilot skill ships attacking you, they really, if you think about it for a few seconds, it's pretty obvious that the rest of their squad would be alerted. That's like this would be like the first thing you tell them is that, that's no friendly,
Shoot that guy, sort of thing. Actually, this sounded familiar. The card text sounded familiar, so I went and dug it up. One of the contest entries for cards for the show from our first contest was the Shuttle Tydirium title. Enemy ships cannot target you with attacks until you attack or are the only target left.
There you go.
They can't be an enemy. Look how casually they're flying. So I don't know if this person had inside information on this title or got robbed.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. I think with that, it's a good carrier for EMP device.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And just in general, if you're a TIE fighter that can't be shot, you can really do a lot of things to screw around with the enemy formation, any enemy ships. You get behind them. Make them, second guess themselves, make them, worry about you, but at the same time, they can't do anything really about you.
You could do a lot of things, particularly if you've got Speed's Masterpiece, where you've got an illicit and you've got a crew card. You can do blocking. You could have a crazy crew card that does all sorts of things.
Put intel agent on there and just look at their maneuver every turn.
Yeah. Oh yeah! Wow.
Or what is it? The slicer, the saboteur.
I
mean, not even Black Market will give it for
and saboteur. You can put both.
Oh
my God!
Both on there.
It's littering.
And but it really works for say a pilot with a high pilot skill, which leads me into Ahsoka Tano. So Phil, you want to go with Ahsoka?
Yeah, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars Rebels and previously Clone Wars. She's flying this TIE fighter, and she's at pilot skill 7. Her ability is, at the start of the combat phase, you may spend 1 focus token to choose a friendly ship at range 1. It may perform 1 free action. So a couple things to look at here. Obviously, it's a cool synergistic ship, and you can do a lot of interesting things with this. It pairs well with like a ordnance carrier, like a bomber, that needs a target lock to fire its weapon, but can't reliably get it. So you have like a pilot skill 2 B-wing or Y-wing with a torpedo. You know, it's really hard to get that target lock and focus to shoot your torpedo off in the first pass. But with Ahsoka Tano,
who was that? The ARC 170 pilot, Nora Wexley. You know, you can spend your target lock to get a free eyeball result added to the roll. Well, what if you don't have the focus? Boom.
Yeah. Or maybe you have, if you really want to get into some sort of alpha strikey Y-wing list or ordnance list, rebel ordnance, you could have Dutch Vander and another proton torpedo carrying Y-wing, and they'd both be able to get guaranteed target locks. So they could both take focus, and you give Dutch the Ahsoka Tano action for his target lock, and then he passes his target lock on his second Y-wing, and all of a sudden you've got 2 Y-wings with fully modified ordnance shots, and they could both easily have a guidance chip. So that could be really nasty.
Yeah, or Poe Dameron. Let's say he bumps and doesn't get his focus action.
Yeah,
you could give him that.
There's a ton of things you can do with this, really.
So, one person on non-FFG forums was like, "Oh, why do they keep giving support abilities to non-support ships?" And I was like, "Dude, this is the perfect support ship. You
can't
could
shoot
give
it
the thing
often.
So you can't shoot at it. It can, take a crew and elicit, and you could do all sorts of stuff. You could even give it like recon specialist, where they get 2 focuses a turn, spend 1 focus to kind of dish out to give a free action to someone, and then you use the focus on your own if you need it.
Yeah.
But with PS7
also point out
and the EPT, you could take Veteran Instinct and be PS9, which means even
it'd be very
Suture
hard
Fell,
to take that first shot.
Yeah.
Although I think the captured tie only works against pilots that are under your pilot skill. So if you have a PS9 Ahsoka Tano versus PS9 Center, he can shoot at you.
Lowers, yes,
But,
lower.
Right.
Yeah.
The Inquisitor
PS8
can.
and down. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So one interesting wrinkle here is that Ahsoka Tano can use that focus token to give herself a free action. That's not immediately... the utility of that is not immediately obvious, but it could be good. Like say you are, your pilot skill 7, and say Centurfell is trying to kill you. You do your maneuver, you take a focus. Centurfell maneuvers, gets his nice range 1 shot at you. Maybe you can spend your focus to give yourself a barrel roll action. Just barrel roll out of his arc.
Yeah.
He can't reposition during the combat phase, so you can, you can arc dodge at a very, very late step. And that, that carries over to other, it's nice,
pretty
right?
High competitive tournament play right there.
Well, it's just nice. I don't know if we'll eventually see Ahsoka on the tables and those tables, but that also carries over to all sorts of repositioning ships. So, you're talking about Poe Dameron earlier, but even like a pilot skill 2 B-wing with barrel roll, Ahsoka Tano can give that B-wing a barrel roll in the combat phase. That's pretty important. That's pretty useful.
Yeah. Or even the black market slicer tool. Let's say that Centurfell comes up behind you, and boom, you take that action. Right then, Centurfell's stressed at that point, but it wasn't earlier. It wasn't a range 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's an interesting ship. I was just spitballing through the crew. The Jyn Erso the one I guess from our new Rogue One movie. Seems like it would be an interesting mix with this ship. If you don't recall, choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 2's crew. Assign one focus token to that ship for each enemy ship inside your firing arc at range 1 to 3. So with a ship that can't be touched, essentially, except for high pilot skill stuff, she can sit there as a focus battery, basically, for other ships in the middle of the formation. And combined with Ahsoka, I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff.
I think you can only do one free action with her ability, though.
No, I'm not saying just for her. I'm saying, but you can use it as essentially that ship as a focus battery.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
of your formation.
Yeah, so you have captured tie.
Yeah, you're free basically to say I can get as many of you in the arc as I want because you can't shoot back at me. So I can get my max of 3 or try my best to get the max of 3 and just act as a focus beacon for the other people on the other ships that might need it. So I just like I said, it's interesting. It wouldn't be expensive either. So
no, that could be that'd be 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 points for the crew. So
I even think one of the things they recommended on the article was if you've got Biggs Darklighter and he's got someone like R2F2, you give him an action, he could even, let's say he spends his action doing a focus, and then he give him another action, he could do R2F2 or something to kind of boost his agility, or there's just a number of things you can do.
Yeah. You can double up. I think they even talk about this. Jyn Erso and Janors. You can give somebody a focus and an evade, and Biggs with the R2F2. So there's a lot of ways that you can just keep defensively buffing a ship.
It seems necessary these days after our Finn Rao discussion. But yeah, it's an interesting ship. I don't fly enough ties to be comfortable flying it, but using the title where it can't be shot does would make me want to field a little bit more. And I do love the ship. I do love the look of it. I love the paint scheme. I know we said this the previous release information, but it feels so unique as a ship, which I guess makes sense. That it makes me want to add it to the collection of Rebel ships that I have at my reach, at my hand here to fire. Were there any other ones that stuck out? I mean, I didn't even look to see what the other pilots were in the set. Or
we got Rex.
Oh, is there another one?
We've got Captain Rex is another pilot card here. So he's pilot skill 4, and he has. As his text, after you perform an attack, assign the suppressive fire condition card to the defender.
Yep, another condition card.
More conditions. Jeez, bro.
I know you love it, J-Bot.
I can't wait till we have a poisoned condition too. Is this one cursed? Have I cursed that guy or poisoned him? Or does anybody have an antidote card I can use on my ship over here?
I'd look it up, but I'm stunned.
Exactly, it's horrible. Oh goodness, but I get where they're going, but it's adding another 50 pages to the rule book of how to handle these when they start getting them on top of each other, when they start to mix with each other.
Do you want to look up and tell us what the suppressive fire condition card does, since you love it so much? No, I mean J-Bot.
Yeah, J-Bot.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have it right here. In fact, I hate it so much that I pinned it to my wall so that I could stare at it whenever I need to be mad at something. When attacking a ship other than Captain Rex, roll 1 fewer attack die. When you declare an attack targeting Captain Rex, or when Captain Rex is destroyed, remove this card. At the end of the combat phase, if Captain Rex did not perform an attack this phase, remove this card. It's an interesting effect, but or condition, but it's just another thing for me to remember what the token means on the board.
Yeah, well, it screams out of one such pilot we just mentioned a little bit ago about a potential combo
with the 5 dice.
With Biggs Darklighter.
Oh.
So it's like you combine Rex with Rex who does this combo, and fires at somebody, and suppresses fire. So boom, they get -1 if they attack anyone other than Rex. And hey, there's Biggs. You've got to attack Biggs. -1 attack on him. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice defensive piece. It seems pretty cool.
It seems interesting, but it also seems at least somewhat limited. So,
sure.
I mean, it doesn't. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I need to read it again to myself. But does it suppress the fire of the person firing at Captain Rex?
No, if you fire at Rex,
somebody else.
Yeah, when you declare an attack on Captain Rex, you remove the card.
Right.
So
if he fires at someone, he gives them that card, and if they fire anybody other than himself, they get -1 to hit.
Right, and then the condition, or I said, one of the other ways of breaking it is if he doesn't attack. Period. This phase, not if he doesn't attack that specific ship, which it doesn't necessarily always come up, but it seems a little odd to me that I'm suppressing that ship over there, that I'm shooting completely 180 degrees at another ship. Like what? I get it. I understand it's for gameplay mechanics, but it's just they're starting to really muddy the waters now with some of this. Between this and the everybody can, or I should say, nobody can see the ship that looks exactly like ours, except for it's painted bright yellow, except for the really good guy over there who is probably leading the squad and would tell everybody, hey, stop shooting, at other people, idiots, when the bad ship's right in the middle of us, sort of thing.
In space, no one can see your paint job.
Right. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's the secret. It's painted too much like the sun, and she keeps hovering over the sun. We don't know what to do. Sir, they've got a light grenade. Send reinforcements. Nobody's seen that movie.
Captain Rex also has a crew card.
Yeah. So speaking about crew and crew to put on, Sabine's masterpiece.
Right.
Jake, you want to go over it? You got it there, Phil?
I'll just do it. Yeah. Reads, after you perform an attack that does not hit, you may assign 1 focus token to your ship. So, 2 points.
Pretty good on a ship that is
not good at attacking?
Or a high PS. Because you know how it is with just there's so many freaking ships out there like Soontirfell and such. You get you fire at someone and crap, you miss. It happens.
Yeah.
But then getting that focus on defensive is not nice. Or you got gunner. Let's say you've got a crew.
Yeah. If you got
crew,
gunner,
you got gunner.
Nice.
So boom, you miss.
Use it as a gunner. Sort of buzz
isn't it a crew card? So you'd need 2 crew slots.
Yeah,
but there are ships out there.
There's ships out there.
YTs and
I think the U-wing has. Does the U-wing have 2 crew?
Yep, U-wing has 2 crew.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a good number of ships out there. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, having to miss the attack sucks.
Yeah, I'm not super impressed.
Like you've got to be. You either need to have another attack, or someone needs to be shooting at you for this to be any good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not.
Yeah, but it's not like those things are crazy. So,
but from a flavor perspective, I can appreciate it. It's cool. I like Captain Rex as a character. I loved him since the Clone Wars. It just kind of gives you that sense of, hey, he's firing, and if he misses, he kind of calms himself. He focuses and gets ready for the next run. But obviously, what you're saying is true. It would have been better if he could attack again.
Yeah.
Right. And you just have to pay 5 more points for it and be in the right ship.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. So maybe it's not the next game-breaking card, but I still think it's useful. It's got its spot.
Yeah. So that leaves the only TIE fighter here that we don't know anything about is Zeb. Or do we? Do we? I bet he has the same ability that he does in the attack shuttle.
Probably.
That's the only
which means if you bump
attack.
someone, you can still shoot each other.
No, that's his crew ability. I think.
Oh, you're right. What is his?
The
What is
attack
his
shuttle, he
attack
almost
shuttle?
never gets taken. It's the first crit that you take, or you turn crits upside down or something like that.
Let me pull it up here.
Yeah.
When defending, you may cancel crits before regular
right.
hits. Oh,
I'm sure that's
it's
it.
actually pretty good.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll buy
I
that
mean,
for $1.
it's good for a TIE fighter with no shields.
Yeah, here we are referencing all sorts of other movies. But now, if anyone actually has got every reference for every movie we've actually mentioned so far, email us. Let us know. All right, but that pretty much sums up, I think, the Suppressive Fire article.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, named after the new condition they came out with.
And also,
Yes.
yeah, and also keeping with the Archer references theme for Wave 10. If you remember, I'm actually gonna play a clip on my computer here. Hang on.
Okay. Oh! God damn it, Cyril! Woo!
Yeah, I love that. Suppressive fire.
That show's so horrible.
I do love that show. It's so non-PC. But all right. So we do have other bit of news because they also came out with a updated FAQ, frequently asked questions, which has some significant changes for a few items, which is pretty cool. Now I told you I was emailing back and forth with Frank Brooks from FFG, and then we have this card change that J-Bot, do you want to talk about this? Because you mentioned this in the past about how you thought it should be this way, and then here we actually see it,
After
right
the email was changed.
I've mentioned a lot of cards that need to be changed. So, I mean, it's a rather sweeping game I think I've created in my own mind.
Let's start with the cluster bombs or cluster mine. Cluster mine.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't have it right in front of me, but I seem to recall reading on the Facebook page that crits and hits when rolled for the mines count.
Which was always your interpretation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what makes sense. I don't understand. I mean, let's think through this logically for a second. So I hit you, ding, yay, hey, I did damage. But if I hit and like, boom, giant explosion, no, missed completely. Like, I guess the ship dove and cussed at the right moment, so the giant explosion didn't hit it, but the small little, flesh wound did. I mean,
so it actually says that if you roll the crit, it actually doesn't cause a crit. It just causes 1 damage for each hit or crit rolled. So basically, that's the one with the 3 templates that get spread out, and it's possible to actually hit one ship with all 3. And so each template, you roll 2 red dice. At this point, it used to be if you roll a hit, so you roll the red die, 3 out of 8 is going to roll a hit. And if you take that hit, you take that damage. But now, 50-50 for each of those red dies will cause 1 damage. So if you roll crit, it's only going to be hit.
Yeah, it's a nice change. It makes sense to me, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play your cards right, you can get one ship to run over 6 of them. If you're J-Bot, you can have it do 1 damage when all of that happens. I don't know that this would help my dice rolling out that much, but I think most people would probably that use it might actually be able to benefit from this.
I do think it's cool that
small change, but to me, it's an important change.
Right about the time I'm communicating with FFG employee, this comes out, so I think it's pretty cool.
Well, we know that's what happens. We're kind of the flag bearer. I mean, that's why they write articles about our stuff and follow some of our suggestions for rule changes, card changes, that sort of thing. So look for the Hawks to get some upgrades here in the near future.
Yeah.
Right, the system slot.
And speaking of upgrades, that one, the Heavy Seek Interceptor card, before it was a 2-point title you give the Seek, which let you take let you take the cannon, missile, or torpedo slot.
I think you read that wrong. And you said, you can take the cannon or cannon slot.
Right, because no one ever takes the one shot.
No one ever took a missile on the Heavy Seek.
Right. But basically, a lot of people on the forums argued, they really should give you an extra hole for that, because why do you have to spend 2 points, then get an upgrade?
Yeah.
And you really should, because maybe you're adding on extra stuff that should give you an extra hole, because these things are 2 hull and 1 shield to begin with for 14 points, and you're spending more points to add more points on, and it's just a whole lot of points to spend for something that's going to die. So they came out with the increase your hull value by 1 point. So this is a significant upgrade to the Heavy Seek.
This is a pretty radical change. This is not like a clarification on wording or a slight change in the conditions of the card. It's it's a serious modification to this card that was clearly not originally intended.
Right. So, it's not a rules clarification. It is a complete retcon, really, when you get down to this. I mean, it is a complete overhaul of the card, which I know you guys have specific, concerns about that. But I see it as a kind of opening. It's like, look, if they can change one thing, they can theoretically go into the FAQ and change a lot and things.
They're
going to make that sort of change. It's like, it's like, hey, look, we're going to change the point cost of this ship, and this whole run of ships and that sort of thing. It to me, as soon as you start saying the card you get in your pack is no longer valid, it's a completely different card. You can do that with pretty much anything. I'm making an assumption here. I know I shouldn't do that. That's bad. That future printings of the ship will have the corrected card, but maybe they won't. I don't know how FFG normally does this.
Might take a while for that to happen.
Right, yeah, I expect it might take a while, but...
actually, this title says your upgrade bar gains the cannon, torpedo, and missile upgrade icons. Does this mean that you can now actually take long-range sensors?
No, it's torpedo, missile, or cannon. It's or, not and.
Oh, it is or. Oh, okay. Now, there's two things I'm going to make a point. One, my only problem with this is that it does nothing for the vanilla Seek, because the standard straight-up Seek, which I like. I think it's a good ship, and I think having a TIE Fighter-esque ship for the scum, you can either take the Z-95 or like a TIE Fighter, but it's still about 1 point too expensive. So that was one thing that I'm a little disappointed, because it'd be nice to actually see just normal Seeks on the table. But someone asked, and you don't actually have to take an upgrade beyond the title. You can actually buy the title, because a whole upgrade is 3 points, and this is a 2-point title that basically is like a whole upgrade. So it is a discounted whole upgrade, but you don't have to actually buy anything else from that point if you don't want to.
It's true.
Now, you should always at least probably take a 1-point tractor beam or something to throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually a pretty good idea to at least take like a mangler cannon or something like that. A relatively cheap cannon.
A 1-point cannon, so...
Yeah, well, a tractor, I mean, you don't do any damage, but it kind of depends with the tractor beam. Like, if it's a low pilot skill Seek and you don't have anything else shooting after it, then tractor beam isn't going to do you much good, probably. But
yeah,
I'm kind of even a fan of putting like stuff like flechette cannons and ion cannons on these guys. Flechette cannon is 2 points, and it gives you a 3 dice attack.
In ion, you can, for 19 points, you can get an ion cannon ship. That's if you want to fire at it, it's basically 3 green dice with 3 hull and a shield at this point. If you want to take your shots at it, but it's an ion cannon. It goes at the end after everybody, and 3 dice, range 1 to 3, 1 to 3, so even range 3. and it can fire people to do the ion, and it's scum. So let's say you've got Fen Rao with you, or one of those other guys, want to ionize somebody. I don't know. I think like a ion Seek, heavy Seek is a pretty darn cheap ship to throw in there. I like it.
Yeah, it's a I think it's a good change. Does it mean that heavy Seeks take over the metagame? Probably not. But because I have played with Seeks that actually have this rule in one of my campaign testing sessions. I don't think Jake, you were playing Mercenaries. I was playing someone else, and we actually played this rule because this is actually a house rules change suggestion made by Major Dougler. He usually does all the math wing for X-Wing. He suggested this exact change. The heavy Seek title also increases your hull by 1. And I played a few games with interceptors that had this rule, and they were definitely better than interceptors that didn't have it. But nothing like
nothing crazy
changing. Really,
now,
it just like made them tolerable.
I do think a tiny mind link. I have not tried it myself, but I know people who've tried it in the forums and all, and it can really do wonders. So basically, whoever does the first focus gives everybody else with mind link another focus, and then you can do another action. So it can be an evade, it can be a barrel roll, it could be a target lock.
Bunch of focus evaded heavy Seeks out there.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do 4 heavy laser cannon Seeks like that, right? Or I don't know.
I don't know.
The thing that always worried me about the mind link, and I'll be honest, this is just from fear of not having played it or anything, but was the fact that stress kind of goes through. So if one ship picks up stress, it passes through. And I'm using this as kind of as a lead into the next one. But the change to how you handle like a red maneuver with stress, like on a stressed ship now, takes away a bit of that fear, because now like, oh, oops, I got screwed up by something I did, wasn't planning on it, went through a debris cloud, whatever, and got stressed on like the first ship I moved, and I've got a guy way in the back who needed to go, and he was taking a red maneuver, for example. Now I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about my opponent going, that's a 90-degree turn off the board. I know.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about the change to that, because people might not know.
Okay. Well, in the olden days, back when we started and everybody had cardboard tokens, if you had a stress on your ship and you took a red maneuver, you essentially oops, and you give the dial to your opponent. He picks a maneuver, and that's what your ship does. But they've changed that rule, and the way I read it, might be wrong, was that you basically don't hand the dial over anymore. You just do a straight 2 white, I believe is what it was. So you don't move your stress or anything. So you just go straight 2, which is, to me, it's a huge change. I'm not 100% sure I like it, but it is a massive change. It is a, oh, well, it's not as bad as it could have been sort of thing, versus, oh, I'm just going to do a hard bank 3 and run you off the table, or, spend a lot of time thinking to get you right in the worst possible position with that. And because you're already stressed, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to do anything to get yourself out of it. So to me, it's a big change. But when it comes to the whole mind link idea, I'm like, well, it might not be as devastating to that build.
It's funny because I've read about people who suggested mind link, and they say you've got to do your maneuvers in certain orders. All your white moves go first, and you move them. And you can't fly in formation, because if you fly in formation, pretty much everybody's doing the same maneuver, and this messes up because you can't have everybody. You've got to kind of spread them out.
Yeah, you can't have more than one choreographed turn, or unless you're planning on one of those to be a 2 white straight now, I guess.
So, you do your white maneuvers first, and then second you move all your red maneuvers. So anybody who then is doing a red maneuver and is going to stress everybody, you do that, and they stress everybody. And then anybody who's doing a green maneuver, you move then, because that would actually clear the stress, and you would have your focus, and you get another action. So there's kind of a whole science behind, like, if you've got mind link, don't fly in formation, spread out, do your moves in a particular smart way, and then actually kind of increases mind link, and you've got all these different combos. Also, Paylob with mind link. So maybe like 3 Seeks with mind link and Paylob. Paylob grabs a focus from an enemy, and boom, you get it.
Right. And it's sort of interesting to talk about why they had to make this change. Because it's actually something I've had come up a bunch of times. The reason they made this change is because now in the game it's possible to stress your opponent in the activation phase. I think the way that happens now is if you have Snapshot on a ship that has like a R3A2, then you can actually give that. Or is that? I'm not even sure if that's the way it would really work. Yeah. Well, no, because then
you wouldn't have mind link if you got Snapshot.
No, it's the dropping of the debris clouds and stuff you can do now.
Yeah, debris clouds. That's how you can do it. If you drop a debris cloud on somebody before they do their maneuver, then they can get a stress before they actually do like a red maneuver that they've plotted. So, say for example, you have a ship that has the debris cloud dropper and intel agent. You can actually look and see if the enemy ship has a red maneuver, and then decide to drop your debris cloud and then fly them off the table. And that's pretty messed up. It's something that happens whenever you have a mechanic that makes it possible to give stress in the activation phase. I've seen this a lot of custom cards previously, and I've always had to point it out that you can't, under the old rules, you just could not allow any mechanics that made it possible to give someone stress in the activation phase. But FFG went ahead and made one of those mechanics, and now either I don't know if they realized at the time or whatever, but now they had to make this change, and I kind of prefer the old one because you can sort of game this new stress maneuver mechanic, right? Like, because a two white straight isn't that bad. So you could,
I don't know.
Essentially,
I'm okay because I hate it. I hate it if you messed up, like you're at an official event or something, Oh, you totally messed up, and it's like, I get to totally, up yours. You just totally lost the game because of this, and now you probably do a non-favorable move. I don't know.
I think there's just one more main topic to hit with the. Well, I guess there's 2 topics to hit with the FAQ.
Well,
there's Biggs and Deadeye.
Yes. So
just a couple small changes, nothing really big.
Right. So do you want to talk? Who wants to talk about the small change for Deadeye?
So, I'll talk to that. Deadeye is now for small ships only.
Yeah, small change.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you did there.
So I'm pretty sure that doesn't have an effect on anything out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Nothing big.
Why would anybody even use that card? I don't even like it.
Nothing big. Yeah, so I did read on some sort of obscure internet forum that there might be a tournament build that uses Deadeye for 3 jump masters. You know that ship that kind of looks like a U? So I think they call them boats. Yeah.
So my question here is, like, where did the people with pitchforks and torches go when this was released? Like, where did that rally start at that they were going to start the riot? Because I could only imagine what happened to the forums. Was there a meltdown? Was there, a critical point where we weren't sure it was going to come back? Like,
FFG has actually got a forum submission point for when you can start your pitchfork riot in their parking lot to protest something. Because before, people have been complaining about things for a long time. Fat turrets,
absolutely,
etc. But they've actually gotten pretty thorough. They've actually gotten their protest process down pretty well, so that the forum users can actually, do their pitchfork and torch protest in the FG parking lot in a method that they'll notice more.
I just have to imagine there are some people quitting the fandom over this. It's a pivotal point in the history of this game. At this point, is if you're changing that, I'm not going to play anymore. Sort of.
I mean, I really don't know if there's anyone out there who is so deeply in love with the triple jump masters that they're actually upset about this. But
well,
I feel like I don't know that I was
Slink
expecting
Tank
this
guy.
change, but I think most people were expecting some kind of change to affect it, right? I mean,
people were expecting a hard counter to jump masters.
They didn't know it was going to be
seems like a pretty
but
hard
not in
counter.
an FAQ.
Right. So one of the Sling Paint guys from their YouTube channel. Hey guys, love your show. You're only going to hear this if you listen to us. You better listen to us. But they one of them plays triple U-boats. So and so basically they use Deadeye because it's a PS3 ship and you don't need to actually target lock what you're shooting at. And people hated it because these PS3 ships, 3 of them with 2 torpedoes were firing every round and
There's an
destroying
Alpha Strike
things
list,
like
yeah.
Alpha Strike destroying Rebel regen lists, which you can now still do with say TIE bombers. You can actually have 4 of them, so more missiles shooting out. But hey, we're the U-boats are gone. But yeah, and people were saying it was ruining the game, not push the limit. Arc Dodgers, they weren't ruining the game, but U-boats were.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent over it. I never really faced it a lot myself, but
Yeah, it doesn't change my gameplay very much, but I can see how some people might be a little upset about this.
Yeah.
And then the other change.
the Biggs issue,
is Biggs. So
the Biggs change.
The long and short of it is that Biggs doesn't work against secondary weapons anymore.
Well, kind of. Biggs Darklighter's ability does not trigger if the attacker choose a weapon that cannot target Biggs Darklighter. So basically, if you have Biggs and Wedge next to each other, and you put a target lock on Wedge, and you want to fire a missile or torpedo at Wedge, you can't. You're not forced to shoot at Biggs because you're shooting your ordnance, which requires the target lock, and the target lock's not on Biggs. So therefore, you're not firing at Biggs.
Right.
But if you've got like a ion cannon, which is range 1 to 3, and
Right,
you
then
want to
it's not
fire
gonna
at
help.
Wedge, well, yeah, then you've got to fire at Biggs. But if you've got, I don't know, a heavy laser cannon, and Biggs is at range 1, but Wedge is at range 2, then you have to fire at Wedge. You can't fire at Biggs. So yeah,
it seems like a common sense sort of fix, to be honest with you. It's like I've never really run into the instance where this was coming up as a problem, but I think if I was left there on the table to think about it without knowing the specific rule, I would say, well, that doesn't make sense. I should be able to shoot it at the one that I have the target lock on because that's the only thing I can shoot at. I don't have any ability to fire the missile at Biggs, as an example. So to me, it feels like a common sense fix.
It's a Biggs deal.
Oh, geez. Must be getting late. Oh, wait a minute. It is.
Yes. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a big change. I think it'll help probably tournament lists more because not every Rebel list I face has Biggs because I play casual. But yeah, it's all right. I like it. Now, the one thing I'm a little surprised I didn't see in this FAQ, but I think it's really due to timing. But new pilot and crew cards for Shuttle Tydirium. But we just had our contest, though, and the FFG needs time to actually... We didn't forward them to them in advance. They've got to actually digest and playtest these new pilot cards.
Yeah.
JBot.
I'm sure they're putting those cards into their production pipeline now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't...
According to my lawyer, they're still investigating the mishandling of the contest entries by a certain pilot and co-pilot. So until that is rectified, we might not see crew cards for a while.
All right. Their lawyers does take a while with like the whole Raider and getting things done, but I do expect to see those out soon. So, well, at some point.
I'd say on the whole, I'm glad to see them constantly kind of at least going back and checking up on the stuff. And for me, as much of some of these changes change the tournament meta, the big one for me is essentially the opening the door to rewriting of cards. Ultimately, is the biggest change for me. Is hey, look, they've suddenly rewritten essentially a card.
But they did that with the TIE Phantom. I don't know, like to me, it's not new, but for other people,
they
it's
didn't
like,
change the TIE Phantom. They just changed the way cloaking works and essentially
but they
what
changed
time
the
it
cards.
used. Yeah, but those aren't like actual ship cards. Those are essentially this is changing, an upgrade to a ship, not this is how a specific action is used in the game.
And you see, potato. It's just yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, they're showing an increased willingness to go in and rewrite the cards at a more basic level than they have in the past.
Right. Yeah. Essentially, like I said, rewriting what is essentially a playing card of the game, not rewriting how a rule is handled, and that's it opens a lot of opportunity, I think, to fix some of the things that we have moaned about here on this show, and I'm sure others have as well.
Yeah.
For example, missing EPT for a certain pilot.
Yeah. All right. So cool. I think that should pretty much cover the show for tonight. So I think we've actually gone on for longer than I thought we would, but it's nothing new. So excellent. Yeah. So do you guys have any finishing thoughts?
No, I'm all good.
No, I think I'm all good here. Don't get your hype up too much. Allow yourself to be, excited and surprised.
All right, for Rogue One.
Yeah.
Sage advice from J-Bot. So it's rare. Treasure it. All right, guys. I think that should finish things up, and I'll put back on the in-flight movie for the rest of our trip to Endor.
What are we watching? Backdraft?
Oh, it's some 80s action movie. I can't recall the name.
Commando.
Yeah, Backdraft.
Black Talon, something. Airwolf. So we'll find something. Okay.
Cobra Talonbane. Oh, choking me up. I think I got some Ewok fur. Anyways, all right, guys. Thanks again for listening to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We are the casual mothership. The mothership of casual X-Wing. See, it's so tired. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Ewoks, take it away.
One of these days, we're going to leave that in.
I often leave that in.